Hey, this is Echo and Nigel. You are listening to The Professional Artist on 1077 United Public Radio out of New Orleans and also simulcast on YouTube. So go to youtube.com/Echo Chernik, and you can also find it on, I think, Nigel, do you have a YouTube page set up now?
Yeah, youtube.com/Nigels.
There you go. You can watch us both at the same time.
Yeah.
So one in each ear. So anyways, so how you doing, Nigel?
I'm great. I'm great. Well, busy, but as we all are.
Yeah, it's
getting
into
that time of season. Yeah, we got. I have San Diego Comic-Con next weekend, and then we both have Gen Con the weekend after that.
Gen Con is in Indianapolis, for those of you that don't know, and it is the best 4 days in gaming, and it is an awesome convention. I love Gen Con.
If you're a gamer, I tell everybody that Gen Con is gaming mecca. Like everybody should just go there. If you haven't gone, get off your ass because
just go.
It's a good time. So then the following weekend after that, we have Rose City Comic Con.
That the following weekend?
That is the following weekend.
No, I thought it was in the fall.
I started calling this the Gauntlet,
Oh.
Because literally I bounce back and forth across the United States.
You're right. That is
I'm like a ping pong ball.
Let's see, Gen Con.
No, sorry. No, that is not right.
No, it's after Dragon Con.
It's for me, the Gauntlet is I go back, we got a couple of weeks off. I'm actually getting my house in Ohio ready to sell. So if anybody wants to buy a house in Ohio, let me know. In Columbus, Ohio. But that I'm getting my house ready to sell, and then I'm going to Germany to do a show in Cologne called Gamescom.
I thought you weren't sure about doing shows in Germany.
I know. I honestly okay. I don't dislike Germany or there's just too many rules. It's like England, you know what I mean? Like England and Germany, they both have so many people are so interested in, and the society is geared around being following rules. There's so much bureaucracy that goes along with it, and I am a bohemian dude. Me and rules, we don't so much get along. I have to call it Mr. Rules.
Yeah. No, Rose City is not until September, so that's good.
Right. Yeah. So I do Gamescom, then I do Dragon Con, and then the following weekend after Dragon Con is
Rose City.
Yeah. So if you're doing Dragon Con, we have another slight gauntlet. It's just I have 3. My worker, Maddie. Sorry, I was up very late working on a piece. My worker Maddie is currently on a very unadvisable schedule, in my opinion. I told her I didn't think it was a great idea, but it's up to her. She is doing. She did a show the weekend before last called. God, I can't remember what that one was called. But this weekend she's doing. This weekend she's in Florida doing SuperCon.
Oh God, I haven't done SuperCon in so long.
Yeah, there's Miami SuperCon, and then next weekend she's got San Diego Comic-Con, and then the following weekend after that she's got Gen Con, and then the following weekend after that she's got a con called Rebel ScumCon which is a Star Wars show in.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, Maddie, you might die. I'm just giving you a heads up.
Please don't, Maddie. Please don't die. Yeah, I have Worldcon and. After 2 weeks after Gen Con, that's in Seattle, so at least that's close by.
Is that? Yeah. I should have signed up to do that one.
Yeah.
I always forget about Worldcon because one, I don't ever really know where it's going to be, and
in Seattle, I have actually have a 10x20, and I was going to just go with the corner and get rid of the rest of the booth. So if you wanted the rest of the booth, or if you wanted to work something out. Let me, if you want to go to WorldCon, if you really want to kill Maddie, you know.
Send Maddie up to WorldCon.
Send
No.
Maddie up to WorldCon. We'll talk after the show. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, this is how artists survive. I was in Mexico 2 weeks ago for in Monterey. That was so much fun.
That was a
Oh my
vacation,
god.
right?
Well, sort of, yeah. And my neighbor was Michael Madek. Do you know him? I met him at Heroes Con like a million years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
I know the name at least.
yeah, yeah. But what I was talking about helping each other is that he wasn't able to take credit cards because we're down in Mexico. So I'm like, oh well, you know what? I'll run the credit cards for you, and then I'll just pay you back. And he's like, really? You do that? I'm like, this is how you survive as an artist. You help each other because you never know when I'm going to be stuck somewhere and I'm going to need something, and to be like,
need
oh,
somebody to run credit cards for me. Yeah. Yeah. So it was for a show.
yeah. It was for a show. Yeah, I was a guest. I was the guest of honor at Animex actually in Monterey. And so they treated me so well. Kat came with me. Part of the reason I chose Animex because they gave me a choice of that or their other show, La Conve, which was in November. And I'm first of all a little busy in November, and I'm like, well, I don't know a lot of anime. I'm like, but if Kat can come with me because she's young and learning and stuff, and she did. She was really nervous. She's never been in a country where they didn't speak English, and so that was her biggest concern. It was like and and pretty soon, first we got there and they were awesome. They gave us a translator, this really sweet girl, and I assigned her to Kat. And they went off together to Artist Alley to buy some stuff. And pretty soon, within like an hour, Kat's running off buying stuff in Artist Alley by herself, no Spanish, just knowing how to do this. And I'm like, see, it's not that bad. People in other countries, they figure out how to communicate.
Yeah. Exactly. Did you bring the kids to Germany when we went?
No, they were too young. So I'm not gonna bring them this year, but I think I'm gonna go to Luca this year and feel it out and learn all the stuffs, and then I'll probably bring one of them next year. I want to learn. I mean, they're 20 and 23 now, so I want to learn the ropes. They're both a little bit on the neurodivergent spectrum, so they do a little better if we go to plan. So, you said Luca's a long show. That's
it's 5 days, 5 full days too. Not like San Diego, where like the first day is like a half day. Yeah, it's 5 full days, and then the Italians. So, and to speak about cultures and stuff like that, I love Italy, but it will kill you. All right, like it is one of those things where like there's always a give and take with other cultures and whatnot. It just so happens that Italy and France and stuff like that, their culture sort of it is more in line with the weirdly superhuman party aspect of me,
that's why they drink so much, espresso and.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We drink espresso literally all day long. There's a hardware store in Lucca where you can get an espresso.
I'm looking forward to this. So.
It's a thing. So for those of you that don't know, I live in Lucca. Usually half the year. This year I've been spending a lot of time in Oregon though. But the so you get there though, you do the show, and then afterwards, just about every night, there is some get together where we go out to dinner, and dinner in Italy doesn't start until like the earliest you can go to dinner is 7 p.m. All right, like shit doesn't open before that. Like it's just everything's closed.
It's gonna kill me.
Everything opens at 7 p.m. Generally speaking, we don't get to the restaurant to eat until about 9. I think is usually when we meet up. By the time the time that the dinner's over, all right, it's usually about 1, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. Then you stumble very drunk back to your home, all right, and then you get up at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, Luca's gonna kill me.
And repeat.
I have a rule. I have to be in bed by midnight on show nights because otherwise, I'm not coherent enough to talk about things in the morning. So this should be interesting. I'm gonna need a lot of.
You also don't normally ingest the amount of espresso that you will be ingesting because they have an espresso machine there.
Oh.
For all the guests. Yeah. So basically, at any point in time, you can just go back to the lounge and get an espresso. I have about 6 to 10 of them a day, you know.
Yes.
So, and you learn very quickly that Italy, I think, has a standing percentage of ADHD people that is in the high 80s to 95%, you know. And this is how they medicate. They medicate by just drinking espresso all day long, you know.
All day long, yeah. So it's important as an artist to do shows, I think, and to really kind of get out there and explore the world. I mean, you know, you have to have those experiences to put into your art. And it could be a little bit scary to be like, I'm going to go to Mexico. I've never been to Mexico. This is terrifying. I already know it. You know,
all of the years that I've gone to San Diego Comic-Con, every year, I have friends, dear friends, Albie and Maddie. They're this couple that live in San Diego. You've met them.
I have me too. This is just the show. So
yeah, exactly. And they like, I've been going to their home and staying usually for like up to a month at a time, you know, around the shows, because it's the time that we all get together and kind of hang out and whatnot, for like 22 years now. And like 21 years, something like that. Anyways, and I've never been to Mexico.
I wasn't either before this.
It's like right there. Like it's San Diego.
You can see it.
You can get on the trolley and go to Mexico. You know, like I've never been.
Nope. We were at Maz's cousin's house, and we could see Tijuana through there's like a fence and then a space, and then there's like Tijuana is over there, and we've never gone. So, because the kids were little, and I was kind of like, I don't know about that. So I was a little bit worried about it and concerns, but you know, now that they're older, you there?
Yeah.
But it was awesome. Monterey was great. It was hot, but you know, I lived in Florida for a while. But it was hot. I think at one point I went outside and I was like, "Oh, it's raining." No, the wet is just sitting in the air. Oh, okay. It was like floating there. There was just wet. I'm like, it's not raining. It's just sitting. I'm like, oh, weird. But
yeah.
So things to do to think about when going to Mexico, just for people that are thinking about going to international shows, because Michael didn't know this. He didn't get like traveler's insurance. So I went and got that. That was pretty cheap. I think I got it through 10 something or something like that. And it was like $40 for both of us for like the weekend. I've heard horror stories that if you go to Mexico and then you end up in an accident or something, that they won't treat you or anything if you don't have money.
Yeah.
So I was like, worth the money.
In Italy, it's not so much a worry. Most of Europe, it's not really so much a worry. I guess technically speaking, you should have it, but like, I've been to emergency rooms in the Czech Republic, and they just charge you for it. And when they will apologize the entire time about how much it's going to cost, and then when you get the bill, it's so freaking low that you're like, "Can I tip you? Is that okay?
Can I give you some more?"
Is that standard? I don't know. You know, like I mean, that's a weird thing in Europe is don't tip the way that we do here. It's literally considered to be ostentatious.
Okay.
Yeah, and a little rude to the owners of the restaurant. If that
weird.
Makes sense. The idea behind it is that they get paid a living wage. Like they are paid well. All right. Waiters across the board are paid very well in Europe. All right. And so like if they do a particularly good job, you round up, you know, if you're paying in cash. If you're paying with a credit card, they don't even give you the option to tip.
Wow.
You know, and so like it's one of those things where it's like if you're that kind of a person, but even then, you know, like a lot of times they get, that's the number one way to point out that you're an American. You know,
is to tip, right?
Is to tip. And again, I mean, how sad is that? That like that's how we get noticed the most. But aside from being loud, you know, Americans are very loud.
In Mexico, I Googled it first to find out what it was in tipping, and it said that you don't have to tip, but it's optional, and Americans are kind of expected to tip. That was what I got from it. They're like, it's not, you're not going to be looked down upon if you tip. So when Michael and I went out to a restaurant, we gave them the money, and then they came back with it, and he explained to us, he's like, there's no tipping in Mexico, so you don't need to tip. So here is your change. And Michael's like, but if I want to, he's like, well, but we don't do tipping in Mexico. He's like, but if I leave this here, that's okay. And the guy's just like, yeah. And as we were leaving, all of the staff were like, bye, have a good day. You want some extra chips to go with you? And they were like super friendly and excited because obviously they split it amongst themselves. So it wasn't a bad thing. It's just, it's not expected, but it wasn't looked down on. It was just kind of like,
yeah,
it's American.
Different cultures deal with all of this a little bit different. Like I said, in Italy, in France, Germany especially, it can almost be taken as an insult, and so
weird.
Yeah, I know. It's very strange.
I remember doing the show in Germany. We did Spiel a long time. Now, usually at shows, people come up to the booth, and I'm like, hi, I'm the artist, da, 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 and I'm talking to them. But I found that at Spiel, if I talked to them, they ran away. They literally would like turn tail and run away. And I was like, so the guy we were with told me, you can't talk to them. You have to wait till they talk to you. I found that to be so hard. I felt so rude. I had to sit, just draw in my sketchbook and be like, don't look, do not look, do not say anything. And then sure enough, they'd be like, oh, are you the artist? And then we could talk. But it was so uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean. That's exactly the point, there are these weird unwritten conventions that go along with being in certain areas, that you just have to learn. You have to learn how to deal. Like I know how to say browse please in like 4 languages,
Oh, so Laz made what we did for my books for Mexico is that I had him make up, I had like 4 books. I had 1 book of my regular art, 1 book of the sexy art, 1 book of the Shadowrun art, or game art, and then I forgot what the cat. 4th one was cats, and I had him make like an intro sheet for all 4 of them in Spanish that we ran by the person that was my host or whatever, and so that they could make sure it was correct. And then I had 1 sheet that just explained who I am and what I do. I do commercial art and blah 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 blah, and where I have a gallery, so that I didn't have to struggle through saying all of this, and they could just read it. And then when I got there, I had to write down. I had my translator help me write down. If you buy 2 prints, you get the 3rd free. So I could just point to it, But nobody was very offended that I didn't speak a lot of Spanish. They seemed to like to practice their English. So
Germany is very much like that. Like you'll never have a problem in Germany with English. In Italy, you will. I say that about 20% of the people speak English.
Okay. So you said you usually hire a translator, right?
I do. I know a few people that, I'll put you in contact with somebody at least.
That would probably be a good investment.
I pay them, I think, like €100 a day or something like that.
I found having in Mexico, it was every once in a while I would just have to be like, translator, help! I'm over my head. We're trying to have a conversation, and both of us are just like, wow. So
also if you talk to, they used to provide translators. It was part of a work study program that they had for the high school.
That makes sense.
I believe that has since gone away. So like they used to, the work study section of all of it kind of dissolved over time. I don't know why. So
yeah, my translator in Mexico was going to school to be a translator. So,
this is like a high school program. So like part of your graduation process in Italy was to do a work study in and around the area that because all of their high schools are kind of targeted high schools. And so like Lucca is known for the art schools and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of art schools and music schools and stuff like that, which quite honestly, as a place to live, makes it just ridiculously beautiful. Because you go down the street and like everybody's carrying, like art bags, or they're carrying instruments, and you walk by the music school and there's always a recital of some sort going on.
Oh, can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful environment. So
I spent the weekend trying to figure out phrases to help her, to help enhance her translation skills, because her English was great. But I was like, well, what kind of phrases? Because there's always these slangs. And I'm like, all right, so if I say, all right, go right down there. The bathroom is right down there on the left. I'm like, it's not actually on the right, it's on the left. She's like, wait, what? That makes no sense. I'm like, it's right down there on the left. She's like, so I spent the whole time.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Trying to come up with stuff like that just translation is just weird, because it doesn't have anything to do with being on the right. So it was just fun.
One of my favorite things is literal translations of German phrases.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. They are absolutely hilarious. Like, for instance, airplane. Okay, it's called Flugzeug. All right, and Flugzeug is it translates literally to flying thing.
Sure. I mean, that works. I mean, it is a flying thing. So
I mean, there's a reason why they have a term like Schadenfreude, because
what's
that one means to take pleasure in the pain of another.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this little show after Luca. It's up in Germany. It's down by it's in Munich, near Munich, and I figured it'll give me a good chance to just go to just go to do something else after Luca. It's not very big. It's tiny. And so anyway, they were all full up and everything, but I of course just popped them a letter to be like, hey, do you have any availability? And they're like, well, hell yeah. And so they made room for me, and they sent me the list of things in German that I get with my Artist Alley table. And I translated it. And it's like, all right, you get a table, you get a wastebasket, you get, a chair, and you get a river. And I'm like, what? It just says river. And I'm like, so I sent this back to them, and I'm like, all right, well, Google Translate promised me a river, so I'm going to be expecting that. And he just lost it. He's like, oh my God, I'm in tears. Apparently, it means in German, it can translate to a wild. It means wild river or wild water, but it also means electricity. So it just means I don't actually get a river. And I was like,
get a river. You don't get a river.
Water?
You get a flow of electricity. That's what you get.
I get a wild river of electricity.
Wild river. Yeah.
You just thought that was the funniest thing ever.
That is awesome. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like they're just the literal and direct translations are always just awesome. Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. French idioms are some of the most wildly screwed up things that I've ever, I can't remember a lot of them, but I do remember one is that if you call somebody crazy, and I can't remember what the word is, it literally translates to having noodles shoved up your ass. Like, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, as far as an idiom for crazy, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. All right, we're supposed to be talking about.
It's got to have something to do with Italians, like because they hate each other.
Now, this actually has to do with surviving generative AI.
Generative AI. Yeah, we're supposed to be talking about that today, but honestly, these are the things,
Well, the thing is, this does, because I've been doing a lot more shows since AI came on to supplement and everything. So this is one way to survive, is to do more shows. So
and also to remind the world that there are artists, that like this thing that you're doing is connected to a person, and that person is right here now, and you can talk to them about the thing. You can't pull up your AI and go, hey, what did you mean by this? And I think that very much leads into a huge point too, is that like we've had there are going to be a couple of things that will rightfully die, and then there will be a couple of things that are not going to rightfully die. You know what I mean? Like illustration is going to unjustly be like whacked by AI. If you're just doing a thing, if you're just trying to replicate an item, like still lives and stuff like that, if you're illustrating what it looks like, then that can be replicated pretty easily. You know what I mean?
I've been feeling that as an illustrator, I'll tell you. I
Yeah.
felt that right away. As soon as AI came on, I was like, I used to do a lot of stuff where they'd hire me just to draw this, draw that. We want to see what it looks like, and we want to present it to people. And now they're just like, oh, we'll just type it into AI. And I'm like,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, exactly. And that's right. That's right. And that's an unjust thing that dies. The one that I have Schadenfreude towards is the aspect of art where people are specifically attempting to not have any meaning attached to it, and they do things like, like that ping pong table or the banana, and things like that. Those guys are gonna be annihilated by AI. Okay, there's literally, unless they double down on the existence of the person and this mysterious thing that's going on in the brain of that genius, you can just make a bunch of fictional geniuses, a bunch of Banksies, and and talk about how he really exists. You can just use AI to generate those things, and that will have an effect on that industry as well. But again, I as an artist that went to art school, it's insulting.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of
wonder if
times.
they probably are going to have just AI artists generating AI things.
Yeah.
They've like Vocaloids and stuff, and they're not.
All of the hotel art is going to get replaced. All of
yeah.
there are going to be all of these like industries that were lucrative industries for people that were built out of this idiocy that was the modern art movement. That is, I guess, not idiocy. There is some modern art that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like wonderful stuff that's coming out. Not to say that anything that's modern is bad. There's a performance art that came along with that sort of dominates the industry at this point in time. And so, and those guys are going to be the ones that feel it the most. If you're actually sitting down and you're putting meaning into your work and whatnot, and you're willing to talk to somebody about it, that's what's going to save you. Is this idea that this enigmatic guy that's sitting back saying, I don't know, what do you think it's about? Like that kind of a thing. It's like, well, the concept of Untitled didn't come along until like, I think it was Warhol, or I can't remember who coined it to begin with. But like before that, we would have Untitled works, but that's because it wasn't titled.
As opposed to just, got it.
Right. Yeah. It was a thing that like he drew and it was done, or she drew it and it was like, okay, well, and boom. And never thought about it again. But like we are so ravenous for any work by that artist that we find their doodles and we put them up on the wall as if they're masterpieces, which is honestly my biggest fear. All right. Like really, when it boils right down to it, I am terrified I want to be the next Dali. You know what I mean? But I also am terrified that if I am, they're going to find things that I've done, like this piece right here, and they're going to go, oh, that's a masterwork. See how he only did half of the piece? That's got this meaning. No, it's not. It's just I got halfway through it and I realized I didn't want to finish it, and I can't throw it away because I've been told that everything that I do has value, which I think is bullshit, so.
Yeah. Oh, look at this drawing that she did. It's just marvelous. Look at the spray of cat vomit. No, seriously, just my cat threw up on my drawing.
Cat vomited on it. It was
really didn't have anything to do with anything except my cat threw up on it, so I had to start over. So
yeah. And so like, I don't mind if my good sketches and stuff like that end up, in things. Like I'm looking right here. Right here, there is here you can see like there's just a stack of art that is, laying against my wall, waiting to be paid attention to,
There is a certain amount of, I guess, spinning we can do when we're talking about our art that engages people, though. They like to hear what's behind it and what we were thinking and, stuff. That's
what I mean. And all of that is part of that process. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is all the stuff that, and I guess to fold this back, that like that fear that I have is also one of the things that is going to be important
Mhm.
about actual artists, is that we have all of this crap that we're not going to ever sell to anybody, that is going to remain completely unknown until we're dead. You know?
I was an advertising illustrator for 15 years before I started doing the shows at all. And everyone's like, "Oh, we want to see your sketches. We want to see your sketches." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I like pulled out my box of sketches, and it was like a tree. I mean, it was like rings because I literally just would throw it in the box, 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 and like it just piled up. And so I was digging through. I mean, and they're on the back of bills. They're not. They weren't like I didn't design them to be sold. So I was like, "Oh yeah, don't mind the Con Ed bill there. Just they had coffee stains on them. Oh, my drawings for I did Celestial Seasonings, the green teas. I did the dragon drawing. The dragon drawing for the tea box is actually on vellum, and I still have it because I'm saving it because I want to get rich off this thing. Because what happened is when Kat, my daughter, was 4, she found it and colored it in. And now that she's a professional artist, now it's all colored in with marker, my original sketch.
Amazing. Oh my god.
So now when she's starting her own career and getting famous, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be good.
And I don't know about you, but I started collecting art many years ago from artists that I want to. I would collect original like paintings and stuff like that off of artists that would just were people that I wanted to see become something. And it's twofold. One, I want them to succeed. 2, they're not charging a whole lot at that point in time, so I can afford to actually buy their artwork. What was that noise? Anyways, so I can afford
the best rule of thumb when buying art as either an investment or just whatever is just if you like it, buy it.
Yeah.
Don't buy it because you're like, oh, this might be worth money. I mean, just if you're like, I really love this piece, just that's the best way, because then you're always happy with it regardless.
Yeah, exactly. And as a professional artist though, we have it's kind of like inside stock trading, you know what I mean, in a lot of ways, because we look around and we go like, that person's got something, and we're like, so how much for this, and then you buy it, and then you work your ass off to make sure that person is famous so that the thing you bought is worth a lot of money, later on.
You still like it.
I refer to it as my retirement plan,
That's a good retirement plan, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I have, I think the most valuable one that I have to date is Jeff Easley. I have a Jeff Easley painting.
Yep.
But that was just
you didn't actually pay for that though.
No, I didn't. That was that was hilarious. Yeah, you did a demo on a bunch of my boards and whatnot, and then gave it to me at the end. Literally told me that I could just wash it off and reuse the board. I was like,
you're like, no, or you could pay for your kid's college.
Yeah, I was like, or I could keep it. And he's like, dude, whatever you want to do, And Jeff is legitimately an amazing human. You can't say enough good about that guy. He honestly, we should see about getting him on the show.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Him and his son, because his son helps him kind of curate his work and whatnot. And I haven't seen him in a long time. And plus, it'd be fun to tell the story while he's there.
That would be so cool. All right, I put that on you. Get him on the show.
Yeah. All right, I'll try.
Do it.
I'll try. We'll see if we can get Larry on here too.
Yes, Larry already agreed to. It's just he struggles a little with the technology and the specific timing, so we might have to pre-record the one with Larry.
Yeah, that's true.
That's okay. We can do that.
Though, I mean, and if we can get Larry and then Jeff and then maybe do one with all of the surviving members of like the original crew,
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Let Larry tell a story about how he used to, sit behind his wood stove in his one-room Kentucky hovel and listen to stories from the Civil War from people that were actually there. It was like, I love it.
I know. He's Larry's been a wonderful person throughout. Well, really, both of our careers. Like he's such a. Again, all of them. We are so lucky to grow up in the fantasy art community. It is one of the most beautiful communities.
Larry's really one of the reasons I became an illustrator. I used to go to the library in middle school and look at all of his stuff and just be like, wow, I want to do that. I'm never going to be able to do that. That's like amazing. So I joke that he cost my dad a lot of money, so sending me to art school.
So here's a fun thing. Last year at Luca, was the 50th anniversary of Dungeons & Dragons, and again, this all kind of folds back into how we survive this kind of thing. There are these micro communities that begin to form around all of it. When we were there, and it's the 50th anniversary, so he had this guy that had done this large collection, the largest collection of Dungeons and Dragons art in the world. He's like kind of out of like Georgia or something like that. I can't remember exactly where he's from. If I had prepared for this, I would have the name of the person. I apologize to you. We've met. It's a thing. So at any rate, so we were there and viewing all of the artwork. Just a gallery. It was a church. It was an old church. It was the best display ever. It was this old church that was just covered in Dungeons and Dragons art.
Oh my God.
50 years of Dungeons and Dragons art. It had the originals for things like the Red Box, and it had the originals for the for Jeff's covers for the second edition Dungeons and Dragons books, and stuff like that. And so like all of these things, and I honestly didn't think it was going to hit me as hard as it did hit me. Like it was an important day for me, and then I started realizing that not only did I know like 75% of the artists that had produced this artwork, I knew about the same percentage of the models that they utilized to make the artwork.
Yeah, we do share models.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's this one thing that I kind of can't remember who did it. I think it was maybe Brom. Somebody did that is literally a picture of Todd Lockwood.
In the Shadowrun Tarot, I have a picture of Larry Elmore. He's the hermit.
Exactly. This is what I mean. And then it occurred to me that like we're like a family, in a lot of ways. Like it's like we can't. None of us were rich, Whenever we started this, hell, I don't think any of us are rich now. But none of us were rich, so like we couldn't necessarily afford to hire models and stuff like that. So like 90% of the models are significant others and other artists.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I was just printing out the cover of one of the pieces I did for. Let's see if I can find it here. I'm just going through prints for Shadowrun, and I had another artist pose for me because I needed somebody to be on the cover. And he doesn't even remember posing. I think he was really drunk when he posed. And I needed him to look like an angry Aztec god. And, so he did. He did a great job. And that's Elaine of Yesco. And he posed for me. If I can find it, I can show it on the YouTube. But just this stack of prints that I have here. But, I think you posed for me. I mean, I have, here it is. Yeah, this one. I had him basically strike a pose in the middle of the hotel room. I think you were there. You were sharing the hotel room with me the night I shot this picture. We were in LA or something, and you were. I remember you were sharing a hotel room with us, and then I was like, I need this, and he's like, I don't pose, I don't want to pose, and then he's like, all right, fine, and he sets his pose, and I managed to catch it, and
and that's the thing. And people, and it's brilliant, because if you're an artist, you know what I want.
Yeah,
you also do it, and again, these are all kind of coming back. Like, I guess that if you take anything away from this, you should take away that the idea of our communities is what makes what we do something unique and special. When you buy a piece of artwork from an artist, you're not buying just the artwork. I mean, yeah, you are buying a piece of artwork, but you're also buying the story that comes along with it. You're buying a slice of history.
Mm-hmm.
It's a piece of that person's soul and their life and the meanings that came from all of the interconnectivity and stuff like that we all have and whatnot. You can think of it in the same way that you think about the AI generation. We are a giant database of things that are all coming together to produce these things, but where we have minds. So when you actually add the intelligence, the non-artificial intelligence, the actual intelligence.
How to get around the challenges of, how am I going to do this? How am I going to, how am I going to create this? How am I going to get this angle? How am I going to, you have to get your friends to get these crazy. I've had so many friends of mine hanging off of, couches and desks and taped to walls and stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, that's a story. I remember at one point in time, I got duct taped to a pole. It ripped all the skin off of my arms. Like literally, I was nice and tan. All right, this is a true story. I was really tan. Now, to be fair, the photographs were taken and then utilized later on. Okay, as a thing, they were taken as a funny thing that was going on that evening, where we were all drinking a lot, and then they this girl that I liked came up and started making out with me, and then unbeknownst to me, they quickly started duct taping me to a pole. Like she had pushed me up against the pole, and then they just kind of started wrapping me, and she kind of helped out. But once they got like one thing around, then they quickly did another one, and they cocooned me to this thing.
Hey, if it was used in the artwork, you can write off the alcohol for the evening, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was the thing. Like no, it wasn't even our pole. Never mind. It was just they just cocooned me. That's what it was. All right. So and then they set me against a pole. All right, like whenever it was all said and done, and they handed me a like a knife or a butter knife or something like that. And they're like, yeah, if you can get out, whatever, And so we're trying to get out. I think I ended up cutting my own arm. But at any rate, but they took me. And there's you have to talk to Amul about this. He's literally got like a photo documentary of this entire.
I believe it.
All right, and so Amul Kumar, by the way, who is an amazing photographer. He does digital manipulation art and stuff like that. If you haven't checked him out, you should.
He is awesome.
Yes, exactly. He's also the world's leading toastologist. He'll read your toast for you. It's like tea leaves, but with toast.
Ooh.
Scrapes it. The patterns. Never mind. It's all made up. But that's beside the point. But he's the leading one, all right, because there's nobody else. So at any rate, so they did, and then they fed me into the back of a station wagon, okay? And they have this all on, and then they drove me to a party. And I guess that the idea is that we were going to go to this after party, but I was going to go somewhere else, all right? And they were like, no, you got to go with us to the after party. And I was like, no, I really need to get to this other thing. And then they duct taped me and shoved me into a car. They literally kidnapped me, all right, and took me to a party, all right, where then they cut the duct tape off and they unceremoniously ripped it off of my body, which I was nice and tan at the time, okay? And then a lot of my skin came off. So as a result, the modeling that was on my skin was super cool, all right, just as a note. I did take a lot of photographs of my skin modeled like that in order to like get certain reference things. And
again, take advantage of it. If you got a reference, take pictures. So
yeah, you can't make the mind of an artist is a crazy, dark cesspool of light. Like I mean, it's just
nobody would think to be like, all right, AI, I want you to give this person's skin as if they had a tan and then the duct tape were ripped off of them because, that's what I want. AI, I'd be like,
that's what I want. That's
what
I
are you talking about?
Like, what? Yeah, exactly. And this is the reason why like you end up with AI art that looks very uniform. Like all AI art kind of looks the same, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't want to disparage the technology. You know what I mean? And this is where we're all in a just a bind. The technology's here to stay. You know what I mean? It's not going anywhere. They're not going to get rid of it. It is a brilliant piece of code. All right, that happened because it could. Like everything in technology, we do it because we can. All right.
Yeah.
What we do with it from here is going to be the hard part. You know, making the I always say that making the technology is the easy part. You know, figuring out how to live with it, that's the hard part. You know.
Yeah. This is the landscape has definitely changed since I've started as an illustrator, and now it is strange. It is interesting. People are trying to figure out, like, we're trying to figure out how are we going to survive? How are we going to adjust things? The public doesn't always know the difference between AI and human art, and we're trying to teach them that.
Right. Well, hold on a second. We have a guy here.
Yeah.
It says if someone lost the ability to draw / sketch by hand due to carpal tunnel or arthritis, but uses AI to draw what's in their head through Chat GPT prompts, would that still be considered original art? Would you embrace it? It's a good question. I would say that. Well, here I'll leave that up while we're talking about it. I would say that traditionally, artists, this kind of thing has happened throughout history with artists, and the outcome of it has almost always been something brilliant. You know what I mean? I come back to the one guy that became famous for pointillism. All right, because he had a neurological disorder and he couldn't keep his hand steady, so he started doing pointillism. All right, in order to do it, and he became like amazingly good at it. You know, and just sort of refigured his entire thing. People that have lost their hands and then like learn to draw with their feet or their mouth. You know, like I mean, there are and they always become something. Well, not always, but many times they could become something great. You know, that overcoming of adversity, I think, is something that the AI will deprive us of. You know, so I mean, yes, if that's how you cope with your loss of then yeah, you know, absolutely. I mean, I support it as long as they're utilizing their own artwork to do it with, if that makes sense. You know, there you go. That's the thing. So if that person who is an artist feeds in all of their information and they do ChatGPT based AI stuff based on the artwork that they've already done, yeah, absolutely. That means that they're just utilizing their own intellectual property to produce more of their own intellectual property. And that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. You know, I think that they're still going to lose something because they're relying on the prompt to do the things rather than relying on. So they're never going to be happy with what they get.
It's a slippery slope. You don't have as much control over it, but it's really good. So you want to get lazy. You see it and you're like, oh, that's really good. And I won't bother changing it, you know, but when we make our own art, we have to make every single decision, which is why it's so exhausting.
And I can't think of a successful professional artist that would utilize AI and be happy with what comes out of it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be something. It's just not right. You know, it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. It's got sort of a lack of soul in a lot of ways. But again, if you're only using your own artwork, then I mean that's your right.
Yeah, that's one thing. But
yeah, you can do whatever you want. The reason why it's not embraceable is only because of the issue with copyright and stuff like that. You know, like I mean, if I'm utilizing if I use your artwork to do artwork, it's no longer mine. You know what I mean? You know, it's somebody else's, and so that's I think really where the negative would come in. I really hope that answers your question. again, I think that person, if they have another avenue, would be better off to try to make that hurdle without utilizing these other issues. You know what I mean? These other things that will like sort of diminish the soul of their artwork and whatnot. But if they can't, and the art that they have in their head still makes them happy, if really what you're doing is it's a therapy, then anything that is produced by AI at this point in time can't be copywritten. Okay, but if it serves a purpose of helping you therapeutically, then okay, I don't have a problem with that. I would donate my artwork for a Chat GPT sort of based thing that was utilized solely for therapy. I mean, like, let's talk about that for a second. Like these kinds of things, like I would do that. I would give the rights for you to use any of my artwork to produce something that was purely used for therapeutic means. Because I believe that it's your, basic human right to have treatment for that kind of thing. Which is one of the reasons why I'm living in Italy. Like you healthcare is free there.
Yeah, it's definitely a complicated matter. That's part of what makes it so difficult. One of the things I found that I think artists need to watch out for is that if you get requested to do sketches from a company, you have to be careful to have in your contract that they're not allowed to just take your sketches and throw your name in the AI and throw the sketches in the AI and make the finished work based on your ideas. Because then they only have to pay you for the sketches, and that's I've run across that before. So we got another.
He's got another one. So he says that when someone's making music, it is understood that they are using digitized versions of wood instruments, brass, percussion, and it's acceptable. No one expects a producer to play those instruments. Are you saying that the art wouldn't be as lenient?
The art world
the art world wouldn't be as lenient to creatives. Sorry, ADHD. Dyslexia and all that bullshit. It's a very different situation. When you're talking about music, you're talking about a band, you're talking about a group of creatives that are coming together to do a certain thing. Okay. And when you're talking about people that are utilizing things that are digitized and stuff like that, I think that we do think of that is a little less. I think that in the music world it's thought of as a little less. Like if you have the ability to do if you have all of these creative professionals that are coming together to create something else that is more than just the sum of its parts, then you've done something beautiful. If you do that with digital content that is not your own, then you're orchestrating something that's maybe beautiful, but it's not. I don't think it's looked at as in the same way, by the creative professionals. And I think that that's the big thing. It seems like from this gentleman's GR or GZDR4EV. So what you're coming to this from the argument standpoint, at least, of the person who consumes art. Not what we're coming at it from is the argument standpoint from the people that are producing the art. Okay. And that's, I think, a big difference here. You and what you get out of it is fine. Like there's nothing that you necessarily will see. And this is part of the problem, like the average person, the layman, the person who doesn't have an intrinsic connection to artwork may not notice a lot of the differences that are going on, but we do, and if we can bring that understanding to you, and show you a world that is more than what you can do with this tool, then that's what we should be doing, and that will make it so that we can survive in that world. You know.
What their statement doesn't exactly line up. Let me go through their statement here for a second. When someone makes music, it's understood they are using a digitized version of a wood instrument, brass, or percussion. Well, when you're using AI, you're not exactly using a digitized version of a paintbrush. You're using like my career and your career and Nigel's career and stuff, and all the stuff that we've created over the last 30 years. So the more equal statement would be that you're making music, digitized music based on the Beatles. So, okay, you have a digitized version of the Beatles and you're using that, or another, or Elvis or something. I mean, you're talking about an artist in the career that's been fed into the system. You're not talking about the actual tool. That's the problem.
So. Right, and you're right. And the other side of this, in the same line, is that those digitized versions of like woodwinds and brass and percussion instruments and stuff like that, those were sold to a place from a person. So like anytime that you have a synthesizer that has put together something, that somebody has done all of those tones and sold that to the synthesizer company, probably for pennies, but still, and then that synthesizer was then used to be played. Again, the synthesizer is still being played.
So if I did a whole series of citrus fruits and a bunch of different styles and I sold it to the AI company and they put it in, I would have gotten paid, and then you're free to use all the citrus fruits you want to make your art. And that's the more equivalent. That's the way it should work. We got to wrap up in a minute, Nigel. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the issue that we run into is, of course, that will never be enough data to do what these AI programs are doing. And the reason why it's so insidious is that it requires such a gigantic amount of data. And the only reason why it has it is because of the user agreements that we all, blindly signed, over the years. And it's large corporations that have been taking advantage of us just wanting to use a tool,
Yeah.
And as a result, we're all suffering because of it. Trust me, you are suffering from it now, whether you know it or not. And it's going to become more and more apparent as time goes on. There's a reason why these things are starting to become scrutinized. There's a reason why Europe doesn't allow certain things that we allow here when it comes to like user agreements and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, in short, watch your user agreements if you're an artist, and watch what you sign, and protect your style and your copyright and the best you can. Mm-hmm. But I'll have to pick up more late next time talking about how to survive in this interesting new world. It's possible. We just need to figure out. It's just new. It's so new. So.
Yeah, and just remember that like you have so much to give. It is your brain and your mind is 100% what all of these people are looking for, and you that is the thing that it's trying to emulate, and it just won't do it if we kind of double down and we keep on pointing out who we are.
Yeah, and yeah. So just have faith in your art, and support other artists for sure. So
yeah.
But yeah. All right. Anything else to say, Nigel?
Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah,
it's been awesome.
And if you want to see both of us, you can see us at Gen Con in just 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. So in Indianapolis. So, but all right. Well, thank you for listening to The Professional Artist, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.